Hello and welcome back to the Football Chat podcast. It's time to talk about Mohamed Salah. We've been noting him while we've been doing our FPL shows. We've been noting him and we've been noting Hueng and Toney because they've been very disappointing. The two guys who took the Golden Boot last year, two assets that we had, yeah, they've not been performing well. You can't pick up a drink anymore, which is an exciting way to start this podcast. But yeah, it's titled What Happened to Mo Salah, but we're going to be talking more broadly about the downfall of inside forwards, especially this season, and the returns of the number 9s. We're seeing the likes of Haaland, Darwin Núñez, Mitrovic, Ivan Toney, really being able to get the most out of being a big, strong, tall centre-forward who can finish very well. But we'll start with Mo Salah at Liverpool then. Harry, what do you think's gone wrong this season, first and foremost, for Salah and Liverpool?
It all went wrong for Salah after AFCON. You know, he came back from AFCON last January, ended the season poorly with Liverpool, and he just hasn't started this season well at all. It's been horrific from Salah. I'm just planning to just get up their stats for this season, but it's been nowhere near impressive from Salah.
I think this mainly comes down to teams knowing how to play against Salah now. With Salah, you either put the ball over the top and he'll chase it in behind, or he'll cut inside and whip it top corner. But the two things that have kind of changed in the Premier League is I think the average age of the centre-half seems significantly lower, and I think this is impacted that because the pace of the centre-halves is much quicker. You look at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
3 years ago, Tompkins and Cahill were lining up in the back two. Now it's Guehi and Anderson. You look at players like, trying to think, Ben White, Tomiyasu, those kind of players now playing for Arsenal. Gabriel Saliba, the centre-halves, of course. You've seen so many more young, quick centre-halves in the Premier League. I think it does make a real difference. If you look at Southampton, for example, even in the fullbacks as well, of course. You've got Livramento and Walker-Peters. But, yeah, you've got players like Bednarek. I do think having younger centre-halves, or more importantly Salisu, having younger centre-halves, quicker centre-halves, has just made it that trying to smack the ball over the top to a quick, pacey winger isn't going to work because they don't tend to have the strength.
I mean,
and I also think Liverpool changed the way they played, of course, haven't they? So statistics this season for Mo Salah.
6 appearances, 2 goals, 2 assists. I mean, goals per match 0.3, minutes per goal 270, 17 shots.
So he's got as many goals and assists as Jesus got in one game against Leicester.
17 shots, only 2 goals.
Interesting, that, isn't it?
Only
very interesting
5
stats.
of those on target out of his 17.
Yeah.
35.7% shooting accuracy.
Yeah, and I guess we talk about Salah as the main one, but does it extend more broadly to Liverpool? Teams have worked out how they play. They've worked out, more importantly, how to beat them. Do Liverpool need to change the system? Because
Maybe.
The 4-3-3, with their lack of central midfielders, isn't working. I would say Liverpool should switch to a 4-2-3-1. I think if you look at Fabio Carvalho and Harvey Elliott, both players who've been getting a lot of minutes in the first team this season, they're both players who thrive in that attacking mid-role, especially Carvalho. We saw him last season in the Championship, a mental amount of contributions. And I know it helps when you've got Mitrovic scoring 46 goals, but regardless of that, he's a stunning player. I think in that role, he'd be a lot more effective. And then, of course, maybe Salah with someone inside to play it to 1-2s. Could that combination kind of help him be able to strike more?
Obviously, I think with Liverpool, the problem is that they've got no one firing at the moment. Núñez has been getting sent off. Firmino, stat pad against Bournemouth. Diaz has been probably the shining light of what has been a terrible Liverpool side. So at the moment, when on paper it looks fantastic.
The difference is, if Salah tries to cut in, about 9 people run at him. For some reason, if Diaz cuts in, everyone's like, oh God, we better stand off him and let him put it top corner. Or bottom corner. So we are kind of seeing a downfall of inside forwards. And I know we mentioned Salah and Son, but I'd even say, look at someone like Mason Mount. His contributions last season, absolutely stunning, but this season failed to register a goal or assist in the first half of the campaign. And I know Chelsea have been very, very poor. I'm not ignoring that fact, but it's interesting to compare last season and this season and see the difference in players doing well.
What I also think is interesting is you look at Mo Salah. He is in a Liverpool side that is struggling a lot, where no one's firing, no one's playing well. They've just been pummeled 4-1 by Napoli.
Yeah.
It's been, they need something else. Whereas you look at Son, he has done nothing in a Tottenham side that is flying. It's fair to say. I look at Kane, Kulusevski, Richarlison. They even get goals from elsewhere. It's
There's less reliance on him. I mean, I think back to that goal against Burnley. 3 years ago now, where he picks up the ball and deep in his own half, he just drives it forward and slots it home. That's classic Heung-min Son. And we're not seeing that so far this season.
And I think this is because I think for Son, because he's the only player at Tottenham that's underperforming, I think he's getting very singled out when everyone is, focusing on him.
There's a lot of pressure on him now to score.
Whereas with Salah, I feel like because the whole Liverpool team aren't playing well at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of just skimming over the fact that he's been poor.
Salah's still scored 2 goals this season.
And got 2 assists.
So as much as it's nowhere near Haaland, no one's anywhere near Haaland. That man is ridiculous. But he's still scored goals.
Liverpool's
he's not done nothing.
Scorer in the Prem.
Only Firmino and Diaz ahead, right?
Yes, a third.
But
I think that says something like Liverpool season.
The fact that Firmino's up there. He's
Whereas
back,
Son,
everyone.
I think
I think that's one game against Bournemouth, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think Son's had a lot of... here, same amount of games as Salah, so they've both played all 6, but no goals, 1 assist.
Yeah.
It's not fantastic.
It's not ideal. And I want to talk about, as well,
but
the players that have done well this season. But yeah, go
really
on.
So obviously Salah's got 2 goals, Son has none.
Yeah.
They've both had 17 shots this season. Son has had 7 on target, Salah's had 5.
Can you see XG?
I actually shooting accuracy 58.3% from Son.
I'll get up FootMob and see.
And that's getting a thing on target.
A shot on target, yeah.
Yeah, that's getting a shot on target. So Son has had more shots on target than Salah. They've had the same amount of shots. But I don't understand because he's had 7. This is a bit weird from FPL. Because he's had 7 shots on target, 5 off target. So he had the rest of the 5 gone.
So Salah scored 2 goals, by the way, from 2.55. So it doesn't need to be a wider discussion if he's not getting enough chances. Because 2.55 XG, I think as much as that also... Obviously, he's not creating as many chances for himself anymore. But equally, maybe he's not getting the same quality or plentiful supply of deliveries. It's got to be a mixture. 2.55. You usually see Salah overperforming his XG, but he's now underperforming.
The interesting for me,
it's poor from Salah,
is that Son's underlying numbers are actually better than Salah's. But if you look at the surface, you look at Salah's 2 goals to Son's none, Salah's 2 assists to Son's 1. It looks like Son's had a worse season. But I think if you look at the actual underlying numbers, I think Son's actually had a better season.
Yeah, 2 big chances missed for Heung-min Son. 1.68 XG, no goals scored yet. He should have put a chance away by now. I think it is just a little bit of poor luck. But then when you look at the Premier League goal scoring charts and you see the same profile of player up there, I think a wider discourse about the profile of player that is so effective right now. Let's look at that top 4 in the goal scorers charts. Erling Haaland, Alexander Mitrovic, Harry Kane, Ivan Toney. I think it's the first time in about 5 years that we've had the top 4 all be strikers.
They're all number 9s. And I think it comes back to your point of you saying that strikers have definitely made a return, bigger return.
Yeah, and I mean we can continue that list on because other than Alexis McAllister, who seems to be an anomaly, but equally him and Pascal Gross as well have both been incredibly effective scoring goals from midfield. Right. I know I've got Gross on here twice, but then you've got Jesus, you've got Firmino, you've got Zaha, who's obviously been playing in that number 9 role, and you've got Rodrigo. So it's interesting to see that we've seen so many new strikers. What do you think explains that? Is it a tactical choice? Are managers starting to move to roles such as the advance forward and the poacher over the false 9 and the pressing forward? I think it's easier
for the strikers to beat the defenders. Because if I look at this list, you've got Haaland, Mitrovic, Kane and Toney. Strikers that are all very physical, all very good in the air, all very good with the ball at their feet.
But also quick, relatively.
Yeah.
Physical, quick. Like I look at Haaland and Toney, they're definitely not slow. The other two, Mitrovic and Kane,
not saying
poachers.
Son and Salah are very quick, but they just lack the physicality, and I think height is obviously a big thing nowadays as well. You know, they're not going to win a header at the back post.
And then you look at Zaha, who is traditionally a winger, who's very good in that role. You look at Luis Diaz, I think he's a bit of an anomaly. But equally, 3 goals is nothing to really shout home about.
Isn't a tall winger, you'd say.
Exactly. He's literally scored the opening goal of the season was with his head. Raheem Sterling, Marcus Rashford up there. They've both played that sort of false 9 role for their respective clubs. And then Martin Odegaard. That Arsenal team's been creating an absolute bucket ton of chances this year. It makes sense that he's up there relatively. But and then Che Adams. I did not see Che Adams and Julian Alvarez being up there. I think that talks about City's dominance when they're bench striker.
How do you see it changing? Do you see Salah and Son having an uptake in form? Do they need to be dropped? What?
It depends on the tactical choices of both teams.
If you look at both teams, they've got players on the bench that can perfectly come and replace them.
Yeah. For me, Son would not start on the weekend. I would be favouring Kulusevski and Richarlison against Leicester. I think Richarlison's showing against Marseille warrants another go in the team. Of course, I imagine we've not seen the Champions League games yet at the time of recording.
He's now a tall winger.
Yeah, well, he predominantly a number 9, but can play out wide as well. So, interesting to see.
It's not really the way to go this season, is it? You know, football at the moment is very tall number 9, wingers, you don't cut in, you don't come inside, you run to the byline, you cross it in to your big striker.
Yeah.
That's what City have done.
It's almost like we're going backwards.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it's another progression. You look at the last 5-10 years, would you extend that far? I'd say 5 years, definitely. City didn't have a striker all of last season, and Liverpool have only had Roberto Firmino as their only out-and-out forward every single season since Klopp's joined. So, where are that? Why have we seen the sudden switch? Is what I want to know. And it probably falls to someone more qualified than ourselves, who's been able to run through all the data and knows about all that stuff to answer it. But why have we seen such a change in direction? Not just in tactics, but in recruitment. City went out and they splashed 60 mil on Haaland. Liverpool went out and spent 100 mil on Nunez. We saw Chelsea do it last summer with Lukaku, unsuccessfully indeed, but they still went and tried to do it. It's interesting to see so many clubs switching the
because you do look at it. I mean, you look at recent years, the big transfers. You look at the likes of obviously Neymar was a winger,
Coutinho,
Eden
Hazard, Dembele, Griezmann.
You think,
I know Griezmann's more.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, you think, everyone wants to buy wingers. Wingers are really important. Nowadays, you're starting to see more big money strikers. You know, it was Benzema, Mbappe, Haaland, Nunez, Vlahovic. Everyone's going out for a number 9.
And Kane was always the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
But he is now coming even more into his element under Antonio Conte. But it's been a while since we've seen so many brilliant strikers in the Premier League. It's great to see them back, I'd just say.
Annoyingly, Chelsea don't have any of them. But Aubameyang. Chelsea got out and bought Aubameyang.
Yeah, I mean, didn't buy... did spend money, didn't they?
Could have gone and bought a winger, but instead, gone for Aubameyang.
Kept Breuer around as well.
Yeah, exactly. And again, another big number 9.
Wolves have gone and got Diego Costa and Sasa Kalajic.
Signing that is.
Both of them are so exciting.
Yeah.
But Wolves announced Diego Costa today, which I absolutely loved. What a brilliant signing.
But you just, you look at every team now, forefront of their team, you name their number 9.
Compared to last season where they didn't have a number 9. Even Manchester United, Ronaldo 2 seasons ago.
But now they use Rashford up there.
Yeah, and he's incredibly effective. But I think that's what we're going to round it off.
Yeah.
Equally, Ronaldo doesn't really have the pace, does he?
I was going to say, it's a bit slow.
Brilliant as a
that's next week. Is Ronaldo
bench player? Yes. Are Messi and Ronaldo finished players? Confirmed. But that is all for today. If you have enjoyed, make sure to get involved. Leave a like, leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube, and don't forget to hit subscribe as well. It massively helps us out. If you're listening on Spotify, then make sure to hit that add to episodes and download the podcast. It helps us out a lot. And hit that follow button so you never miss a podcast. Really helps. And I think is there a notification bell on Spotify?
I think so.
There might be.
You can rate us 5 stars.
I was going to say, give us please. You're going to have listened to this far to know that you can rate 5 stars at that point. So, go on. rate us 5 stars, helps us massively. But yeah, that is all for today. Thank you all very much for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.